Welcome to Chaos and La Mesa. Before we get started, just a quick reminder. Everything shared comes from our personal experiences, opinions, and memories. Some stories may be emotional, messy, or total little humor. That's what happens when you crack open the tequila. This podcast may include sensitive topics, strong language, and family chaos. The views expressed are our own and does not represent anyone mentioned in our stories. So grab your cafecito, take a seat at the table, and remember, some things get a little chaotic when you bring it all to the table.
Welcome back to Chaos en la Mesa. Today we're going to talk about something very close to I don't want to say close to my heart.
This involves her person.
Very personal. That's what it is. That's the word. It's very personal. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history into my past. And so you're going to get to know a lot more about me at this point in time. And about a little bit about why I am the way I am. And yeah, I mean, let's just go. Let's just roll with it.
I'm gonna step away for a moment. I'm gonna go get a pen and pencil.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you gotta take notes.
You go ahead and
I'm gonna give you a little bit of history.
Excuse me.
In I don't even know what year it was, but probably I think it was 2010 that I got married. I married a man who I know now I should have never married because I was never really in love with him. Felt like I owed him something. So 2 years previous, both of my grandfathers were very, very sick. And then they ended up passing away within 6 months of each other. So I had a lot of trauma in a short amount of time. One of my grandfathers was on hospice for a while, Crystal and I's grandfather. And it was he had cirrhosis of the liver. He died of cirrhosis of the liver. No, he wasn't an alcoholic. It was just something that happened. I think that it comes from us having a fatty liver in our family. A lot of people have that for us. And then my maternal grandfather was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he survived about 2 years, but they ended up passing away within 6 months of each other. Really rough time in my life, and I was dating a man. Okay, so I should also preface with I started dating this person because somebody told me not to. I was actually kind of talking to one of his coworkers, and he was like, "Don't talk to him. He's bad news, blah, blah, blah." But also I was like, "You're not going to tell me what to do." I was young and I was dumb. And so that's how I ended up dating him. But when my grandparents were very sick, he never made me feel any kind of way. He was definitely really supportive of the whole situation. And he definitely played the role of a very caring individual. He made nice with my grandmother. He made nice with everybody really in my family. And so I was like, well, he was very supportive. He was there for me. I guess I could marry him. There's always divorce. That was always my MO. There's always divorce, whatever. I didn't see a negative connotation with divorce, right? It was what it was. And if you try and it doesn't work, you bounce, right? So I married him. We were fighting a lot before the wedding. I want to say 6 months before the wedding, we started arguing, and I chalked it up to wedding jitters and stress and blah, blah, blah. But I really should have saw the red flags. There was a lot of domestic violence. We were toxically arguing with each other, pretty much on a daily basis. And then I remember the first time he hit me, he slapped me in the face, and I came back and I punched him. And so I knocked his glasses off his face because he wore glasses, and I ran to the neighbor's house because the neighbor was one of my uncles. And then obviously the cops were called, and it was a whole thing. He didn't want to leave, but then I was also the dumb girl that let him come back. So anyways, it was a lot of that bullshit back and forth, right? Pa no se te la larga, we got married. I think 6 months into the marriage, I realized that he was using meth again, which he had previously had an issue with, and he admitted to me. And then later, he started working with his cousin who started supplying him again. And so they were using together. He was still working, but he would use meth as an upper, and he would smoke weed as a downer. And then it was just a whole cycle. And then I finally said, "No, I'm leaving." And he was like, "Please don't leave." And then it turned out that he admitted that his sister abused him at that point in time, like sexually abused him, and that's why he started using drugs. And it was like a whole thing. Like they went to court and like he sued his sister and he got a payout. And so then that money, he was like, we're going to start our life with this. We're going to use this as a down payment on a house, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like we'll try it. So then we started talking to a real estate agent and doing all the things. And then, when I said, okay, we found a place, we found a cute little mobile home, we were going to buy it, blah, 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 blah. I said, I need you to put the money in my account because we had separate accounts, thank God. Put the money in my account so that we can show that we have the money for the down payment. And he was like, oh, well, I only have like $3,000. And I was like, where's the rest of the money? There should have been like $10,000. And he was like, well, I bought you this and I bought you that and da 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 da. And I was like, you probably spent $200 on me. What did you do with all that money? So essentially he smoked all that money. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. After that, I was like, you need to get out of my house because we had moved back in with my parents so that we could save money to buy a house. And that didn't happen. So I was like, you need to get out. You need to go, blah, blah. There were instances where he would come to my office and try to like fight with me. And I worked at that point, I worked at parks. And so we had rangers and sheriffs and everybody, and they would all come out and they were very supportive for what I was dealing with. And they always told me, we don't care where you park right next to the building. If you need us, you call us. If you know, they were very supportive and I was very appreciative of them. But like we ended up in court, right? We had, I think, 3 domestic violence, cases, I guess you call them, cases at one point, and they said one of them was dismissed, and the other 2 he was, because I would always go to court with him, right? One of them was, they said, we'll dismiss this one if you plead guilty to this one. So then he had to plead guilty, and then he was on probation for like 3 years. But it was just a whole it was a clusterfuck. Like the shit that you see on Lifetime movies, that's legit what I lived. That was my life. And at one point in time, I will do a whole episode on everything that I lived. It'll probably be a series because of all the bullshit that I lived through. But nonetheless, we finally split and we made a clean break. And I was like, I don't wish you any bad, but I don't wish you any good either. So like, just stay away from me. So then, later on in life, my grandmother passed away. Our grandmother passed away. And I was dating somebody who had been, in my life for a long time. And we just never found ourselves in single at the same time. And we finally did. So we were dating and grandma had just died. And I get a text from my ex-husband. And it says, like all these good things about my grandma. And like essentially like praising my grandmother and saying that, you know, we lost a matriarch and all these that. And I fucking panicked, right? Because I hadn't heard from him in years. And I said, the person that I was dating at that time, because I don't want to mention his name either, because that's a whole other fucking clusterfuck. But he said, what's wrong? Because I got up in the middle. It was like 11 o'clock at night because we were spending the night at his house. And he was like, what's wrong? And I showed him my phone and he's like, give it to me. So he called him. I can't remember if he called him or he texted him, but essentially he told him to leave me alone, that I was with him now and that I didn't need him texting me, blah, blah, blah. So then I blocked him. So whatever. Tal y cual, you know, we went our separate ways. We buried grandma. We did all the things. And then years later, I want to say Ava was probably 4 because she wasn't in school yet. She was little. She was running in the front yard and he was riding his bike and he came by my house. And my dad was outside with Ava and he told my dad that he was in a 12-step program and that one of his steps was to make peace with everybody that he harmed while he was in his addiction. And my dad goes, you know, like it was what it was. I forgive you, you know, whatever, whatever. And he said, is that little Nikki? And he said, yeah, that's her daughter, you know, whatever, whatever. And he's like, well, she's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I would really like to talk to Nikki. And then he goes, my dad goes, that's on her. Like, you know, I don't know what you're looking for from her, but like, I don't know if she'll talk to you or not. But he left his phone number. My dad told me, and I was like, I don't really want to open that can of worms again, right? So I sent him a text and I said I was glad that he was in a 12-step program, and I'm glad that he was finally taking care of himself, because it had been years since we had been married and
Right.
since we split. And I mean, because I had Ava, right? Like, and she was old enough to walk, so she was running around the front yard. So
Right.
she was, 3, 4 maybe. So I was like, so I sent him a text and I said, I'm glad you're in this program. I'm glad you're doing what you need to do. And I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. But I wanted nothing to do with him. I didn't want him coming by my house. I didn't want him talking to my dad. I didn't want him around my daughter. And I was kind of a bitch. And I said, I don't forgive you for the things that you put me through, right? Like, I have let it go. I'm a different person. I'm a mom. I've let it go, and I don't wish you any harm, but I also don't forgive you for everything that you did
Right.
to me, right? Like, that is not something that I think I'll ever do, because you changed my life forever,
Right.
right? So I said, que te vaya bien, but stay away from me. And if you come around again, I will file a restraining order. I will make sure you are not legally allowed to come near me or my family. And I said, and after this text, I'll be blocking you. Right. So I sent the text, I made sure it went through, and then I blocked. So we have mutual friends that I always laugh, because I say I won them in the divorce, right? And so they owned a restaurant, and he would go to the restaurant every once in a while. Obviously, he would ask about me because he knew that my comadre and I were tight and we would still see each other. And so when we became officially compadres, I asked my compadre, I said, did you tell him? He's like, yeah. I go, what did he say? And he was like, he said, that's weird. Like, you were friends with me, like, how are you guys compadres? But like, we traveled to Mexico for my niece's quinceañera, like, we're tight. Like, we've stayed in contact. We've always been like that. When I told her I was pregnant with Ava, she cried.
Yeah.
Like, she was so happy. She cried. So, he would always ask about me and whatever. And so it was funny because I want to say a couple of months ago, my grandmother said, hey, like, he told your compadre that he drove by your house the other day. And I was like, why? She's like, oh, I don't know. He said he was in the area. And I was like, that makes me nervous. Like,
Yeah.
it makes me uneasy, because we don't live in an area
Where
we're on a main road,
Right.
right? Like, you have to specifically drive to go look for
Right.
my house to drive by my house. So like, I was like, like, and then even my compadre was like, why would you drive by her house? He's like, I don't know. Like, I was in the area, like, whatever. And I was like, it's weird and I don't like it. And then so I was like kind of on alert then. And then my compadre said, he's reminiscing. So it's my understanding now that he's sick and his organs are failing, but he refuses to go to the doctor, from what I've heard through the grapevine, right? And I'm like, well, I mean, that's not my problem, right? Like, we haven't been together in 15 years,
Yeah.
right? 16 years, something like that. So I'm like, you're my ex-husband and I don't really care what happens, right? Like, and I hate to be that person, but like, I don't think I ever really loved him. I just married him just because it was convenient. You know what I mean? Like, it was to get me out of my house. And like, looking back, like, I see all the different things, right? But like, I don't ever think I really loved him, because I think there's only been one person that I've ever really, really like been head over heels in love with. And that didn't work out, right? Because it just didn't. And that's a whole other episode. But I feel like part of me wants to think that he's trying to make peace with his past so that he can pass in peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to give that to him.
No.
And I don't feel like I owe it to him. I don't owe him anything, right? So then he did that. And then obviously we have a small business, right? So a couple weeks ago, he followed our Instagram page. I haven't blocked on all of my personal social medias, but he was able to access that one. And I post Ava on there. So I'm like, So then as soon as I saw it, I text my comadre and I was like, we need to talk about this because I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
right? Like our lives are very separate. Our lives
Right.
are very different. I am not the person you knew 15 years ago. I'm
Right.
better, right? Like
Right.
I'm 100% better. And I'm a different person. You don't know me. And then she said, I think because he's so sick, he's trying to make peace. I don't think he means anything by it. And I said, I don't care, right? Like, I am not in that space. I am not going to give him what he's looking for,
Right.
right? Like, I need him to understand that it's unacceptable to come near me or my daughter. Now, if I knew where to serve him, I would have already filed a restraining order.
Mhm.
And I know my comadre thinks that I'm being overreactive,
Mhm.
but I feel like I have to do what I have to do to protect my daughter, right? Because you can come for me all you want. I'm ready for you, right? Like, this is what I trained for.
Uh-huh.
But coming and putting yourself near my child is going to bring out the mama bear. So she said, you have to play it smart because if this ever goes to court, we need to make sure that our P's and Q's are there, right?
Mhm.
So I said, okay, I have to think about what I want to say. And ultimately, I'll read you the message because I sent a message and it was just very to the point,
Mhm.
very like, thank you, but no thank you, like, but I also didn't want to block him either, right?
Right.
Because like, you can watch me win. You know what I mean? You can watch me win, but I don't want you to know who my daughter is. And I told her after that point, like, I'm not posting Ava on there. I don't want him to see what she looks like. I don't want him to think he has access to her or to me or whatever. Me, I don't care. But he's not gonna, So it said his name. While I appreciate the sentiment of support through your follow, I would prefer if we did not engage with one another. Oh, my bad. So it took him a while to respond to me.
Mhm.
I sent that on April 28th and I got a response on May 4th. It said, my bad. So-and-so told me about it. Have a nice day. Told me about it is. I don't know what that means, but have a nice day. But like, essentially, like, I know you're going to watch my Instagram. I know you're going to watch what I'm doing. And then my compadre, so, because we both have access to the Instagram, right? She saw that message and she told her husband, my compadre, like, look, this is what he's saying. He's blaming you,
Mhm.
right? Like, that's not your friend. For him to throw you under the bus to be like, oh, so-and-so told me blah, 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 like, he was like, it's that he's still in love with her. And I said, I don't care if he's still in love with me.
Yeah.
I was never in love with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's definitely very much making me uneasy.
Mhm.
But I also do feel like he's harmless because of what he's going through, right?
Right.
So if his organs are truly failing, which is also funny because my other friend actually saw him and she texted me and she's like, oh my God, I just saw your ex-husband, which was all around the same time, right?
Right.
And I was like, why is he trying to make an appearance back in my life?
Right.
Like, why are you trying to come back after all these years? It's been 15 years.
Yeah.
We haven't been together in 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't owe you nothing. I can guarantee you, if you try to have a conversation with me, you're not going to get what you're looking for.
Right.
I don't forgive you. You changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm
However,
for the better. 100%.
thank you.
100%. Like I'll give him that. You changed the trajectory. You made me stand strong when I felt like I needed somebody to save me.
Right.
Right? Like I always felt like I needed somebody to save me, and he taught me that I don't need anybody to save me. So I will give you a shout out on that. Like my ex-husband definitely taught me that I don't need anybody to save me, that I'm clearly capable of saving myself. But that does not give you the green light to come back in my life. And part of me hopes that you see this so that you understand that I know what you're doing and that I know the moves that you're making, and whether you think that they're being malicious or not, they won't be tolerated.
Right.
Right? Like, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe am I overreacting? Do you feel like I'm overreacting? I feel like you have a lot of thoughts right now, but
do.
she's
I
taking
do.
notes, you guys. Ultimately for me, I feel like, it was an experience.
Uh-huh.
It was a life lesson.
Mhm.
But it's definitely not something that I will allow to be a part of my world again.
Right.
Right. Like, and even though I am single,
Uh-huh.
I'm not looking, right? Because relationships and dating these days and age is very different than it was
Right.
back then, right?
Right.
And I also feel like my standards are here. So, like, if you don't meet these standards,
And that's bare minimum.
right?
The bare
Like,
minimum.
I'm my standards are different in my 40s than they were in my 20s,
Right.
right? And I need a different set of I have a different set of expectations,
Mhm.
right? So I don't feel like I'm overreacting. I do feel like I wouldn't have been myself if I hadn't addressed it, because after he followed the Instagram page, I was like, I have to address this, because if he thinks that he can just follow along and I'm not going to say anything,
Mhm.
he's going to think it's okay. So immediately when I sent him that message, I removed him as a follower. I didn't block him, but I did remove him as a follower because
Right.
I didn't, I don't need it to pop up in his feed. And unfortunately, that's part of the realm, right? The
Right.
small business realm. Like,
Right.
if you put it out there and it's public, people are going to see it. And that's okay, right? Like, to an extent. But I'm just like, I don't think I'm overreacting. And I think that he needs to get it through his head that, like, this is over.
Right.
This is done. There's no going back. I'm not the same girl that you put your hands on,
Right.
right? Like, I pack a punch
Mm-hmm.
and I pack a strategic punch.
Right. Right.
So you're not going to, and I don't think he's coming in my life to fight me, or he's trying to, I truly think that he's trying to make peace for himself. I'm not going to give it to him.
Right.
I don't forgive him. I've moved on,
Right.
right? Like, I've moved on. I've accepted what was done. I've accepted the role that I played, because I won't say that I'm innocent. I'm not innocent. It was always mutual combat, right? And so, like, if he put his hands on me, I put my hands on him,
Right.
right? But he put me through a life that I shouldn't have had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you knew you were using drugs before we got married, and you knew that you were an addict and you had an addictive personality, you should have stopped the wedding. You should have been man enough to say, I can't ruin her life. If you ever truly loved me, you should have said, I'm not going to do this to her, because I do love her and I do care about her and she deserves better. Because the one person that I did fall in love with later in life, he said, I'm no good for you, and I know that. I don't want to hurt you, so we can't continue. So I respect him for that,
Yeah.
right? Like, I can respect him for that. And he's like, it's not that I don't love you, and it's that I love you enough to know to walk away. Right? Like, and we've never completely walked away from each other, right? Like, we still talk to each other.
Yeah.
We always, like, our paths always cross for something,
Right.
whether it's for, I always say, like, a reason or a season, right?
Right.
Like, and we've had several seasons, but we also know that we can't be together, right? Like, that's not my red string. So, like, that's okay, right? Like, I can take that, right? But I love the fact that he knew that we weren't going to be together, that he could not change who he was, because he's about 10 years older than me. He knew that he couldn't change who he was. So he was willing to let me go be happy with somebody else.
Mhm.
And he's like, I just want you to be happy. I want Ava to be taken care of, and I want you to be happy. So, like, I can accept that. My ex-husband, on the other hand, I feel like he loves himself more
Mhm.
than he ever loved me. If he ever loved me,
Mhm.
right? Maybe he thought I was his ticket, like, to be done, to leave his family behind, and I was going to be the one that took him, you know what I mean? Because that was kind of like our first fucking couple years together. His mom hated me because I was taking her son away. And that was the other thing. She was a fucking toxic mother-in-law.
Mhm.
And told people that I only wanted him for his money. And I was like, what money? But she doesn't even have a job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you worked for a cell phone company.
Right.
Like, you weren't making buku bucks.
Right.
Like, come on. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, it's kind of therapeutic to talk about it, right? Like, it's definitely something that is in my past that I don't feel like a lot of people know about me. And a lot of people don't know the ins and outs and don't know the domestic violence that was involved and don't know, like, yeah, we put hands on each other, right? Like, and I'll own it, right? Like, I'll own that, like, yeah, I fought back, like, but there were times where he fucking left me stranded in the middle of Campbell
Yeah.
on a corner. And I had to call my homegirl and be like, bitch, I don't know where I'm at, but these are the cross streets. Can you come get me? And she was like, fuck, I'm high as fuck, but I'm going to come get you,
Right.
So she would come get me, right?
This is
Like,
pre-Uber, guys.
yeah, pre-Uber, definitely pre-Uber. So it was like, like, and then he would come home like nothing.
Now,
Say it all.
okay, so
Do it to it.
one thing, okay, first of all, I've known this man.
A lot of years.
He had all of us pretty much fooled. We thought he was good to you, like,
Mhm.
until one day I get a call from you and you tell me that you and him got into it. And it was like, I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Like, I don't even think, I think I was at home and I was over here.
Mhm.
And you guys, I'm 45 minutes from everybody on
Yeah.
that side, right? So 45 to an hour, depending on traffic. I'll be right there. So hearing that he's even attempting to
Mhm.
make his presence known is
Right.
very odd. And I understand trying to make peace with things. Have seen many a time where the man and the woman, they have this makeup and, like, this is not fairy tale, right? Like, this
Mhm.
is not like, no. I have questions.
I know.
Okay,
I mean, I
so
hope I have answers, but who knows?
First of all, did you know about his addiction prior to even dating him?
Previous addiction. So when we got together, it was definitely something we talked about, and he had done some time,
Uh-huh.
and he did say that he had a previous addiction
Mhm.
and that he got clean by himself, which should have been my first red flag. But I also never dealt with like a drug addict,
Right.
right? So I don't,
Right.
and he was clean and
Mhm.
he was working and he had a car and you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so he seemed pretty normal.
Yeah. And so you met him prior to our grandparents even getting sick.
I think my tata was sick.
Well, your tata had been sick for a long time.
Yeah, I think my tata was sick, but I think it was definitely before grandpa got sick.
Okay. So I remember the day that you brought him home to meet grandma and grandpa. And
Shit, I know.
girl, he made me real uncomfortable. To the point where David was very uncomfortable. And he was just like, there's just something about him that rubs me wrong. And I was like, I know. I don't know what it is, but it makes her happy. Like, let's see how it plays. I mean, me and David
Yeah.
were married, what, maybe a year? Not even a year.
Well, no, because he went to your wedding with me.
Yeah. So it wasn't even a year.
Mhm.
Like, and then like 6 months later, grandpa passed. Right? Yeah. So like it was our wedding, grandpa getting sick, because me and David
Because you got married before, because you wanted grandpa to be there.
Right. So me and David, so we got engaged in February. We were married that October. And so in between that, you and him.
Because he went to the wedding with me.
Yeah. And there was just something about it. Like you being me knowing you your entire life, right? There was just something the way that you were, like something didn't fit with you. And I think you fought it for a long time. And so I told David, I was just like, I don't know, but he makes her happy. Like maybe this is what she needs. Like everybody's going through a hard time. Like everything is kind of just falling apart right now.
It was definitely rough. Rough.
Now,
fucking.
like I said, I got the call, so I didn't know like what to expect. And then you told me that you guys got into it, and that I think he had pushed you that time, and I don't think Heno and Mari were home at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, the fuck. So we were packing his shit. I remember we just threw shit in a bag and tossed it outside and told him to come pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And
because also we should say that there were many, many times that I threw him out
yeah,
before I actually was like, you gotta go.
right. And so I thought I was under the impression that was the only time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I didn't know that there was 3 cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, did you guys try counseling in between all of this? Not that I'm trying to be like, you did wrong, because no, fuck that guy and kick bricks.
I think it was something that I offered. So that's the other thing, right? Like I offered him rehab.
Uh-huh.
I offered counseling. He didn't want to do it.
Uh-huh.
He blamed everything on his sister.
Uh-huh.
And like, there was no, I think that ultimately in my heart of hearts, I knew that that wasn't my person. And I didn't care if he left or if he was gone.
Now, you say he blames his sister. Okay. Was this proven true?
She admitted it.
Shut the fuck.
She admitted it.
Okay. So he's a little funky.
he's definitely fucked up in the head, right? Like, because not only, so before the clusterfuck of court happened for him and his sister,
You guys were still married.
we were still married. We were still fighting, but we were still married. And I gave him the opportunity, right? And I said, okay, well, he told me, and I said, I don't believe you. I think you're a drug addict and you're drawing at straws. And he said, no, I'll tell you in front of her. I'll tell everybody in front of her. So we had a family meeting. He said, I want to talk to everybody about something that happened when I was little, blah, blah, blah. Like whatever he said. I can't even remember the text, but he had an uncle who we were very close with. We were always together. And he said, I need you to be there for me. Right. He was the best man at our wedding. Like he was like, I need you to be there for me because I need to talk about this. And you're the only one that's always had my back. And he was like, okay. And he sent the text message, and then his sister sent him a separate message, and she said, can we talk about this? Can we talk? And he said, well, I'm not going without Nikki. And so she said, okay, you guys can come to the house. You know, she had just had kids. She had twins, which she couldn't have naturally. So she did IVF. Okay. And so we went over there and we were on the front porch. And she said, is what you want to talk about something that I did to you when you were younger? And he goes, are you admitting that? And she started to cry and she was like, I feel like this is all my fault, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, listen, like, I just need everybody to know, like, it's not all my fault, right? Like, and he goes, you know, Nikki and I are having issues and I told her and she didn't believe me. And she was like, I'm so sorry for what I did to you, blah, 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 blah. But he was like, we're still going to have a family meeting because everybody needs to be on the same page. So we have the family meeting and his dad's there, and his dad's from Southern California and he happened to be in town. His dad, his mom, his brother, his sister, his uncle. I can't remember who else was there, me and him. And so he says it and his mom says, you were kids, you didn't know what you were doing. And she was like, I came to you and I told you and you didn't do anything about it. And she was like, ay, pues eran niños, no sabían lo que estaban haciendo. And he goes, no, we weren't. She knew what she was doing and she admitted it.
What is the age gap between?
I don't even remember. But she's crying, he's crying, and it was just kind of like, okay, well, I guess it is true, right?
Right.
So then I gave him the opportunity. I said, you need to go to therapy because you need to work this out. And this is like a bigger problem than you think it is, right? Because you haven't solved this issue to move on with me, which is another issue, right? Because now we're having problems, right? Like, because this is feeding this. Your addiction is coming from this. And we know that.
Right.
However, you've never dealt with this.
Right. So how can you deal with?
Right. You're never going to kick this addiction if you don't deal with this.
Right.
But he was like, I've done it before. I'll do it again, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It was just getting worse and worse and worse, right? So after the whole situation with his family, he got his settlement and we separated, right?
Mhm.
So we didn't see his family anymore.
Right.
Which I feel like was also something else that was causing him traumas, to be like more of an addict, right? Because
Right.
you're masking that pain of losing your family. Because essentially you're grieving your family
Right.
because they're all, it's his fault. It's his fault. He's breaking up the family. Not talking about the fact that he's breaking up the family because he was abused as a child,
Right.
right? Like, that's something else that I don't understand. Like, how does your child come to you and say they're being abused and you don't believe them or you don't do anything about it?
Right.
Which is more common than we think.
Right.
But I was like, this is what you need to do. And he was like, no, I don't want to, but okay, well, then I'm not going to stay.
Right.
Right. Like, I'm not. So it wasn't something he wanted to do.
Mhm.
So whether he did it or not afterwards, I have no idea, because when I cut ties, I cut ties. Like,
And see, after you guys divorced and whatever, I think I only seen him a couple of times
mhm,
while I was working. And that's because he was still on your
mhm,
insurance. So he was, I don't know what he was there for. I didn't ask. I said hello and I kept walking.
mhm.
Like that was it. And so I don't know what happened. I mean, I only ever know what happened with you guys.
Right.
But now that now that he's kind of making a presence, like, do you think you would give him that opportunity to just sit with you and tell you to make that amends? And you may not forgive it and you may not give him that, but would you give him the opportunity to talk to you? No?
Don't think about it. No,
Yeah.
because I'm not the person that I was then.
Right.
Right. I'm in a different place in my life.
Mhm.
And although I don't wish him any harm, I don't want anything to do with him.
Yeah. And do you think, I mean, and not that I think your compadre did anything wrong, like he was just letting him know, hey, my wife and
Right.
your ex are doing what, a thing. I mean, do you think that he's going to continue to find ways? I mean, me personally, I don't think he's sick like he says he is, right? I don't. Like, I just don't. And I mean, I don't care. You can tell me, I'm not going to
Right.
change my view on that. I don't think he's sick.
Mhm.
I think he's finding ways to try to weasel back. And no. But do you think he is going to try? Like, I don't think it's going to end with him just driving by your house.
I don't think so, because I think he knows who my family is.
Uh-huh.
And I think that they have made it abundantly clear
Mhm.
that he is to leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, my uncles and the circle that I roll with now,
Yeah.
like at karate and
Uh-huh.
all those people, like, if I were to say this man is stalking me,
Mhm.
they would,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They would be like, absolutely not. You were to go nowhere by yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I say he's stalking me. I don't know if he is, right?
I mean, I would take it that way.
Right.
You're trying to find me on my socials.
Right.
You're going through
You
my
can't
business.
access my personal social, so you're now accessing my business.
Right. You're going through friends of ours,
Mhm.
mutuals of ours that have access to me. That's a form of stalking. Like,
Yeah.
that is not okay. Like, you're a mom.
Right.
You're
Right.
gonna do whatever it is to take care of her. So no. That's
Yeah.
a line. Like, you've crossed the line at that point.
Think that I don't have any ill feelings towards my compadre, because they are they're friends, right?
Right.
And they grew up together, and I don't think that he was I think it was in conversation,
Mhm.
right? And I think that I really feel like he regrets what happened,
Uh-huh.
and he feels like now as an adult, and I would like to think that he's grown, right? Like, we've all grown up, right? And we were in our early 20s, and so I feel like he, even if he's not sick, I feel like he's grown up to be like, damn, I fucked up, because he could have had the life, you know what I mean? He would have had a really good life, but he chose not to.
This is the butterfly effect in full, like, view of everything. His wings fluttered and there was a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Right? Like everything that you are now is because of what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't know. God help us. Look at what happened with our cousin. Everything happens because of one pebble
Mm-hmm.
and it just ripples out. So everything that you are now is because of what he is.
Mhm.
Could you have imagined a life where you stayed?
No.
Like, do you like, I mean, really, I mean, you may not then or, in
Yeah.
quiet time, like just try to imagine what could have happened.
Yeah. It could have been bad.
You could have been that
Mm-hmm.
just in a fit of rage. He had major anger problems,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all fueled by the drug.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't pot.
Right.
It
Right.
wasn't pot.
It
that
was,
did it,
yeah.
So I'm so thankful that you were able to get out of that situation
Mhm.
because a lot of women don't. They stay. They stay in these relationships until it's too late,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't understand why. Why now?
Mhm.
20 years later, David's gonna be 19.
Right. So I will say that the sick doesn't come from him. We weren't told that he was sick from him,
Right.
his mom. So I
Mhm.
think they know. I think he has a relationship with them at a distance now. I don't know, right? And this is me just assuming, right? Like, let me just put that out there. It's complete speculation because I have no idea because I have zero to do with any of them. But it's my understanding that his mom made a phone call to the family and the friends that says, he's really sick. He refuses to go to the doctor. Can you guys talk to him? And they were like, no, we don't want to get involved. Right? So he's continued to make bad decisions. At one point in time when I felt like we could have a friendship when we first split, he married someone else shortly after we divorced who looked just like me.
Yeah.
And he married her so she could get papers. And he said that. He married her so she could get papers and she paid for everything.
I mean, there was a handful of times where I had gotten random phone number calls,
Mhm.
right? And I'm 99% sure it was him, right? Because the voice sounded like I never picked it up. I
Yeah.
just let it go to voicemail or I'd get a text message and I knew it was him because he said, it's me, blah, blah, blah. And I told you,
Yeah.
and then I block him. We took pictures off Instagram,
Right.
Facebook. Like he had no access to any of us at that point. And like, I'm not ecstatic that he's calling you or trying to get in contact with you or even inquiring about your life. Like,
Mhm.
fuck you. Well, you threw that away. You gave that away. For
Right.
drug, right? You chose that life.
That was your choice.
So I just don't.
Isn't it wild?
Like, I'm floored that he would even think to reach out, whether you're sick or not.
Right.
Right? Like, you're sick. You tried to make amends. You tried to make peace with it. Stop.
I
She
said no.
no.
Right.
So
I get it. Like, I could see it, like, from an empathic view, I could see him trying to die in peace, right? I mean, because his whole life has been full of drugs.
Mhm.
So he could be potentially dying in his 40s,
yeah.
right? And, I mean, that's your fault.
Right.
You chose that life.
Peace are you going to bring to yourself knowing that you're throwing somebody who is a mom, a business owner, an employee, a daughter, a niece, a cousin, you're somebody somewhere. What peace are you going to give yourself throwing her for a loop?
I don't think he sees it like that. Knowing who he is or who he was, and it sounds like he's still the same person. I think he's a very selfish individual, and I think it's for him. He doesn't care what the effects are outside of that. It's for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He's a very selfish individual.
Yeah.
It's about him and what he needs.
Right.
It's not about if I reach out, am I going to open old wounds? If I reach out, is she going to panic? Is she, you know what I mean? Like, if it were like genuinely we saw each other in passing and it was like, hey, I really want to apologize for everything that happened, like, it would be different.
Right.
Right.
And that's how it should be.
But we don't run in the same circles.
Right.
We're not the same people.
Right.
I'm a very much a better individual than I was in my early 20s.
Right.
Right. Like, I'm very much better. Like, I don't know how to say it, right? I'm a better person.
You are.
And, you know, like, I know how to present myself. I know how to handle different situations. I know how to handle stressful situations. And instead of telling you to go fuck yourself, I said, hey, this isn't a good idea. Let's not do it.
Right.
Right? Like, 20 years ago,
It would have been go fuck
15
yourself.
years ago, I would have said, go fuck yourself and fucking, I hope you die.
Right.
Right? But like, I really feel like he is a very selfish individual and he's never going to change because he's continued to use drugs. He's continued to be that person. He's continued to couch serve. He's continued to do all the things, right, that lead him to this lifestyle. So, I mean, if you're dying, que te vaya bien, right? You're not going to get what you're looking for.
And I honestly, like I said, I don't blame your compadre or your.
Hey, no, absolutely not.
You guys have no issue, like ever. You know, I don't wish you well. I don't want. I'll meet my maker one day, and I'm a true believer of this. Like, karma comes for you, right?
And that's what I think too.
Right.
This is your karma.
Karma comes for you, and she's a bitch. I'll meet my karma one day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish you well, but I don't wish you bad.
Right.
Like, you live and let live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
right.
and do the same. Live and let live. Let her live. Let her do. Let her be. You don't deserve a spot. Her present.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and that's just facts.
Mm-hmm.
You chose the life. Live with consequences.
These are your consequences.
Right. You know, and the old saying goes, you made your bed.
Right.
Right. You made your bed, lay in it.
Right.
Here's the shovel. Have a good time.
Right. And you also burn that bridge with your family, right? Like, you could have had that, like, let's just say he had the conversation with his family. He didn't have to go after his sister for money.
And that was the drugs.
Right. So he, you know, and it's funny because I ran into his sister maybe a year and a half ago after one of Ava's dance recitals. So it was me, my mom, my dad, my compadres, both the ones he knew and Heno and Mari, and Ava and my nieces and nephews, right? And I saw her walk in and I was like, oh, I was looking good. I had my makeup done. I had my hair done. I had lost weight. I was like,
yeah.
And I wanted her to see me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was at that point where I was like, oh. And it was funny because my compadre goes, look. And I was like, oh, I'm fucking making a scene. Yeah. I'm going to make sure she sees me. So I was being loud and freaking laughing. And Mari was cracking up because she knew exactly what I was doing. So she waves. And I wave back. And then my mom's laughing. Right? She's like, oh my God. She comes over. She says hello. And I'm like, oh, hi. Fake it till you make it. Like, I mean, but honestly, like, I don't have any beef with her, right?
Right.
She was there with her kids after a sporting event, blah, blah, blah. She said hello, you know, exchanged pleasantries. And she was like, oh, okay. To see you. So it was funny because my comadre and my compadre are dying, right? Because they're like, oh my God. Because I go, oh, these are my compadres. You know my mom and dad. You know these guys, right? They were like, oh my God. But like, it wasn't a thing.
Right.
You know, like.
I mean, granted, she didn't do anything to you.
Right. I don't have any bad blood with her.
But.
Right. But I also, so like, okay, so then here's the empathic part of me. I feel bad for her too. Because that's a learned behavior.
Yeah. Hurt people.
So somebody did it to her too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And by their mom's reaction, she knew. And she didn't stop it. So
People hurt people.
I feel bad for her too, right?
Yeah, she's a victim in it as much as you are and as much as he is.
Right.
However,
right. There are different ways to go about it.
Exactly.
Because there are plenty of people that it happens to, and they deal with it head on.
Right.
They address the issue. They, work their way through it, and they move on.
Right. And I mean, we all seen the cases.
Right.
We all know about this Epstein file bullshit. Right.
Mhm.
Like, it's all there. It's what you do with it.
Right.
And
Exactly.
what he did with it is not okay. It's in the least, And my dear, you have a type.
I know. I know.
You have a type.
I definitely like the bad boy.
And we need to break that.
That's why I'm not dating. I'm keeping it single.
You have a type.
I'm like that show Living Single.
I'm all for it, but even that.
You know what it is though? I don't have patience for people anymore. One wrong move, you breathe. You know those memes that say like he breathed wrong?
Yeah.
That's me to my best friend. I'll call her and I'll be like, so remember that guy I told you about? Yeah, forget it. I'm over it.
Yeah.
Or she'll be like, have you heard from so-so? I'm like, nah, I'm over it.
I mean, I get it. And hey, all for it. Like, you don't need somebody to take out the trash. You can hire somebody.
Right.
Like,
Right.
You can have a different flavor of the day, like plenty of people in the world.
You know what's funny is that I have a friend who's divorcing her husband, or I shouldn't say divorcing, they're separated, right? And I always tell her, friend, you can find somebody else.
Yeah.
Men are a dime a dozen. Like, and she's like, I just don't have the confidence like you do. And I'm like, you don't have to have confidence.
No.
Like, I go out, like I don't go out often.
Right.
But when I go out, try to get like, dolled up and do all the things, I was like, and I always meet somebody, but it's your vibe. It's the vibe you give off is like the last person that I met was like, dude, like you're cool, right? Like you look like you just have a good time. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not out here trying to find the love of my life.
Right.
I'm out here to fucking shake my ass and fucking hang out with my homegirls, right?
Exactly.
Like I'm not, and so I just feel like I don't, and it's funny because I always tell her, you could be like me. And she's like, what? I'm like, you could be like polyamorous. She's like, shut up. And I'm like, I'm going to have like 5 husbands.
I mean, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
A thing, right?
I don't think I could do it because she's like, well, would you let them have other wives? I'm like, no, it's just me.
And so you would be, what is it? They would be brother husbands.
Yeah.
Right?
See?
You got to live in Utah for it. But I mean, please stay away from her. Don't throw the goddamn pot, because we carry at this point.
I'm just like, like I feel part of me feels bad for him because if you're reaching for straws at your old life, like you clearly have nothing going on.
I don't feel bad at all. At all.
I know.
And I'm the nicer one.
Right.
I don't feel bad for you at all. Like
you chose your life.
You chose your life. These are the consequences of said
100%.
Whether you're really sick, whether you're couch surfing, whether you're a hurt person who's trying not to hurt people, I don't feel bad for you. You chose the life. You had the opportunities to get better with you, and you threw it away.
Right.
For what? For what? Yeah. And I know people are going to come for me about the drugs and about the mental.
But I also feel like that's an excuse.
It is, because there is so much help out.
Right. And I can speak from experience for relatives who have had drug issues, several relatives who have had drug issues, who now live a sober life. Right. It was a choice.
Right.
So when you choose not to get help and you choose not to get better, then you're choosing the life that you live in. Right. Because I know plenty of people who have chosen to get better and who have stayed better. Right. Like, and okay, so sometimes you have a slip and that's okay.
Right.
You jump right back on that horse.
Exactly. So I don't feel bad. I don't. I'm angry for you. I am angry for you because how dare you? How dare you try to bring your trauma into somebody's life who is thriving, who is moving forward, who is growing as not just a person, not just as a mom, but as somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you've built yourself from rock bottom bullshit to where you are now. And people tell me all the time, Nick, your aunt in general, she's a hard person. She's a
Yeah.
hard person to be around, to want to be, and I'm like, yeah, but I like it. I like who she is. I love who
Yeah.
she is, right? She is a hard person. We could all be a hard person,
Mhm.
and we need that, and she's like, it's not that I don't love her. And I'm like, I get it, Mom.
You know what
her
she
vibe-
yeah, you know what she doesn't like is that I'll call her to the carpet.
Right. And that's what I'm like, her vibe just
Yeah.
click. Because she did tell me, you must kiss a lot of ass. And I'm like, I don't kiss anybody's ass.
Right.
I don't kiss her ass. She asked for help. I'll help her. I can't give her anything that she can't give herself.
Mhm.
Right. I'm like, so it's not that I'm kissing anybody's butt.
Mhm.
I'm just living, her vibe, my vibe. We're good. Like, she balances me out in a way that I don't get from somebody else.
Mhm.
Right. So I'm like, it's not that. So when I see people trying to weasel their way into your into your piece, no, fuck you, get out, hit bricks, hit rocks, hit bricks, fall off the face of the earth, but don't come this way, like, don't. Meet your maker.
Yeah.
Meet your maker and stand on what you believed was so important.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because I always tell people, like, you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me.
Right.
Because I'm just that person. And I'm just very much zero fucks given. Like, if you're not fucking me or financing me,
Right.
your opinion doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. And I will stand 10 toes down for that. Right. Like, I will make sure that you're not going to be the end all be all of me.
Right.
Right. Like, at the end of the day, like, I am me. Love me or hate me. And it's funny because I love when people don't like me.
Yeah.
Because I will sit there to their face and be like, you're not the first, you're not going to be the last.
Exactly. There's so many people in the world. And like I said, my circle is small.
Yeah.
And it's because I choose quality over quantity. I don't need everybody to love me. I need to be able to, one, love myself, and those that do love me, prove it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I have I
we say I have a lot of acquaintances and I have a handful of friends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And see, and for me, Nick, like, honestly, like, this whole situation, this whole ex-husband thing, you're not a friend. You are not an acquaintance.
Yeah.
You are a blip in your past. You were the mistake that you shouldn't have made, but she's learned. Like I said, I'm thankful that you were able to get away from that, because I don't know where my life could be without you in it. You know what I mean? Like, you're a big part of my life, and I would be so sad,
Yeah.
like, I've had cousins on both sides, right? And I was able to just knock one out. Like, you talk shit about something that you don't want to stand on business when somebody has an opinion that doesn't match yours, and that's fine. You can have an opinion and me have an opinion that's completely different.
Right.
And we don't have, you may like something, I may not.
Right.
You may like the color blue and I don't.
Right.
It's fine. At the end of the day, it's my character that should.
I think you and we can respectfully disagree.
Right.
I think a lot of people in our family can't do that.
Right.
Your mom included, right? Because if you don't agree with her, she got to tell you all the reasons why she's right.
Right.
And I'm like, we can not agree on something and be like, okay, we're going to hear each other out.
Right.
And then we keep moving. Right? Like, okay,
Right.
I could see that. I
Right.
could see that. Okay. And then we keep moving.
And then that's the thing. Like, I can definitely walk away with a different perspective when
Right.
it comes to talking to people who have different opinions than me. And
Right.
that's why I don't mind telling you, fuck that guy. Will it into existence that he just go away.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it be naturally or not. Like, just go away. You're
Right.
no longer a blip in my presence. And it sucks. I mean, because we could have been friends.
Right. It could have been a very different situation.
But no.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Go on. On to the next, thank you.
Yeah. I think overall, my whole I don't even know what to say. My whole outlook
Yeah.
is just kind of like, que te vaya bien. Stay away from me. I've given you a warning to say we are not going to engage with each other.
Right.
And if it persists, then I'll go through a legal manner.
Right.
And he knows that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he knows that I'm not that person anymore. Like, I will fight you through the justice system, not with my fists.
Right.
I mean, with my fists if I have to.
Right. Right.
But
From the shove. Right.
But I will fight you through the legal system. And I think overall, I would just like to say that if you find yourself in that situation and you need to have somebody to talk to, I am always an open ear. I have lived it, and I have at some point will share many, many trials that I've been through. But if you are in that position, and if you ever find yourself without will to continue, leave. 100% leave, because they're not going to change. Things will not get better. Once they realize that you won't leave or you're not leaving, they're going to continue to do it. And I have had many death threats and many physical altercations. And I hate to say that happened to me, but it is a lived experience. And it's something that I don't think anybody should ever have to live with. But know your worth, know your value, and know that at the end of the day, there is something better waiting for you. Until next time.
And that's another conversation we've brought to the table. Thank you for sitting here with us with Chaos en la Mesa. If today's episode made you laugh, think, or reminded you of your own family chaos, make sure to follow the podcast and share it with someone who would bring their own stories to the table. Remember, sometimes the conversations we avoid are the ones we need most. Until next time, keep the cafecito warm, keep the conversation real.